Hey everyone, it's Desiree. Day 22. 3 more to go. For this one, I'm going to focus on, dug around in my stash at my dies. So I pulled out my Lawn Fawn stitched ornaments and a Simon Says stamp background with just Christmas sayings in all kinds of different fonts. Some vintage, some current. So using these two, we're going to make a card. It's not going to be a shaker. But when it comes to background stamps, one of the things that I like to use are the Distress Oxides or the Distress Inks. Create those blends or use a watercolor panel because it can give you a big impact. Some people just like background stamps. Because you can do so much with them. Not only can you create the background, but you can also use it for a focal point. And I'll explain that a little bit more as we go through. So I take out the piece of fun foam that I always keep in my stamp positioner. Thank you, BB. And somebody else showed me that idea. Because I want it's a rubber stamp, so it keeps that thickness. I'm going to use my Versamark ink. I treated my Bristol cardstock with my anti-static, and I want to use my Snow, which is white, of course, embossing powder from Recollections. So I have this whole panel. So I'm trying to be careful that I don't mess it up with my fingers because that's going to happen. And I had already used my Lawn Fawn Stitch rectangle die to cut my panel out before I did all of my stamping. I wanted that ready. I didn't wait until afterwards to cut that out. For this one, we can go different ways. So once that was done, once the embossing powders melted, I looked at antique linen, scattered straw, and mustard seed in my oxides. Because again, love my oxides, yay! But this time, I wanted to use my brushes. Now, the brushes I use for my Distress Oxide are the Distress blending brushes. I only use these for my oxides. So I've got a set for the oxides because we have the pigment and the dye ink mix. And then I have my Nuvo blending brushes for all of my inks. Any ink, whether it's Distress, whether it's my Stampin' Up, whether it's the Gina K. So I have to get more of these, by the way. So when I put the mustard seed on, it was too bright. So I wanted to then pull in fossilized amber. I'm just trying to get, what I'm going for here are hues of gold that's coming up this panel. I want the bottom to be dark to get light, but I don't want bright lemon, squeezed lemonade here. I pulled in some frayed burlap just to dye down, to tone down the yellow. So again, it's almost like an antique gold effect of what I was going for. I just use a makeup sponge. I get these at the dollar store to put that brown on there. Now again, the frayed burlap, it's not, a dark brown. It's not espresso. It's got yellow tint to it. So I thought it looked perfect with it. I'm using the brushes to blend up. Now you can see with these brushes, I can get a nice thick coat. It's not as dark as what it would be if I used the mini blender. I didn't want that much. So that's why I did choose the brushes. I used my micro towel, my micro cloth, just to wipe away the excess from the embossed areas. I'm going to use the largest and the smallest ornament, and I'm going to create my cutout. I just want these openings. Again, not doing a shaker card. I grabbed a piece of mirror cardstock from a Tonic Studios paper pad called Festive Lights. It's just their mirror and satin cardstocks. And their red was just a different shade of red. It's like a red Merlot. Yes, wine. Can you tell? We're in the holiday season. So I want that to be the backdrop. So here comes the foam tape. I mean, this whole panel is going to be covered with foam tape. And you can see all the areas are just covered. It's no different than what you would do with making a shaker card, except you would have your acetate in between the foam tape and the card. So you can see that mirror cardstock just comes through. I kind of like that look. Now, you could absolutely put sequins in the bottom there if you wanted to fill that up, not make it a shaker card, but add some shimmer if you wanted to. I used the string that comes in this die set from Lawn Fawn, but I'm reversing it. I don't want the bow on top of the ornament. I actually am going to cut that off. So that's at the other end. I just wanted that thin strip that I was going to get from that die, and I used brown. I didn't want black. I didn't want to introduce another color. So since I had the brown already started, let's go with it. I'm going to create the bow that I didn't use from the die out of my jute twine just by doubling it up and creating the bows and letting them hang down over the ornament. I will use my glue dots to set both of these bows in place. So of course I'm going to have a little bit larger one for the larger ornament, and then obviously, now I put you through pain watching me make the first one. We don't need you to go through pain of watching me make a bow for the second one. I do like the tails, so I want those there, and just by taking my nail across the jute, it helps to coil and curl up those pieces. I'm going to use my tape runner to adhere this onto my standard A2 size card base, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and it is a top folding. I do use my EK Success scoreboard. I do have the Martha Stewart one as well. It is cracking though. Yeah. So I just noticed that. And I'm using my tonic paper creaser to put my score line in that. Since I did use the largest of the Lawn Fawn stitch rectangle, it will cover up the entire front of my card base. And that's our card. Very simple. So if you find that you have background stamps, or maybe you just have a bunch of stamps where you can make your own background, you can do that too. And if you noticed with the cutout, they could be your focal points as well. So you can use both the positive and the negative when it comes to this. I hope you liked this video. Thank you so much for sticking on. We are at day 22. Day 23 will be up very shortly. If you have any questions or comments, leave those down below. Make sure you like and subscribe. You can't miss what's coming out in 2019. As always, all of the products that I used will be linked down below in the video description. Now, again, I know I've been saying this because of the technical difficulties that we have been experiencing here. I'm not going to have a blog posting for each one of these days, but I will have a massive blog once they're all posted and have everything linked there if you want to check them all out. I hope everyone is enjoying the holiday. It is Christmas Day here. It is in the morning, so I wish everyone a Merry Christmas and any other holiday that you celebrate. There's so many. There's Kwanzaa, there was Hanukkah that has passed. So I hope everyone's enjoying their day with their time, with their family and friends. But if you need a moment to get away, make sure you always be creative.